Now, do we remember the American dream that we were taught growing up? You know, where you find a good job, work a nice career, buy you a house in the suburbs, you know what I mean, have family vacations every year, and just be able to live a nice quiet lifestyle, a nice prosperous lifestyle. Well, unfortunately, that dream has long gone, and the new American dream is now self-sufficiency, because as we see, we're no longer able to afford to live. Inflation is sky high, and it almost seems like we're in a recession. So let's talk about the new American dream. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dre over here at Set Apart Gardens, man, where we teaching people how to get back to the land and become as self-sufficient as possible. Today, I was thinking about something, especially how we were taught the American dream, you know, just going back, you know, you see the propaganda and stuff like that, you know, and we were taught just work hard, you know, and you'll be all right. And you'll be able to live a nice lifestyle and everything. But however, as we now see that inflation is no longer a theory, inflation is here. Like basic necessities are, you know, just the prices are through the roof. Like, it's like, man, when you go to these grocery stores and even just the housing market, just trying to live in this country at this current day and time, it seems almost impossible. And you have people working 2 and 3 jobs, doing Uber on the side, DoorDash, all of that type of stuff, and still barely making ends meet. This lets us know for sure that inflation is sky high, that it almost seems like we're in a recession. They're just not calling it that. You know what I mean? And so that American dream that we were taught, we see that that dream has long passed. We should be awakened from that dream. We shouldn't even be asleep no more, right? And we should be focused on another dream and another goal, which is self-sufficiency, which is seeing, okay, I know that the inflation is up, all of this stuff is going on, but how can we provide our own food? How can we cut out the middleman in a lot of cases? You see what I'm saying? Because one of our basic necessities is food, right? And so how can we cut out the middleman when it comes to our food source? Or how can we lessen the blow of the inflation by growing some of our own things, or ethically sourcing some of our own things as far as food and what we eat, right? And so that is the new American dream. It seems like every time I log on social media, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you know, this is a topic that a lot of people are talking about, just the inflation. Like we just saw, they talking about a 50-year mortgage now, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, people may think that sounds good short term, but long term, you're going to be ending up paying way more, you know, for a house, you know, or a condo or whatever you want to buy and live in. You're going to end up paying way more over that course of 50 years. So it's like this is the topic at hand. This is a hot topic as far as everybody talking about just how the cost of living has just skyrocketed. And so a lot of people are waking up and they're seeing the okie doke. They're seeing, man, these people really don't have our true interests at heart. These people truly are greedy. They truly don't care about the well-being of the people, whether it's the system, the big corporations. People see that, hey, if we're going to survive, we have to take it in our own hands. And people are waking up from the delusion, and people are waking up from that deep sleep of just thinking things are going to go back to normal or somewhat normal. And one thing the pandemic has taught us is that things are not going back to normal, because we are living in a new normal. This is the new normal right now. Things are not going to go back as far as how, you know, in the early 2000s or in the 90s or in the 80s. Things are not going to go back like that. Prices are only going to continue to rise. You know, corporations are going to continue to be greedy. The system is still going to be out for itself and not for the people, you know, until something major changes. But in the meantime, we have to figure out what we're going to do. And when I say what we're going to do, I'm talking about the everyday people, the everyday Americans who are trying to make ends meet, who are working hard, who are doing what it takes, you know, to survive, and they're still just getting the resistance that comes with this inflation. And so this is what I suggest, right? I suggest, and I say this all the time, especially if you watch any of my previous videos or my live videos, but now is the time to start making an exit plan. So let's talk about what an exit plan is, because a lot of people think an exit plan means, well, I'm just going to unplug all the way and go totally off grid and all that. No, what I'm saying is, let's start making an exit plan from the things that you are too dependent on, that you don't control, for as your income, your food, your water, your shelter, all of these basic things. You need to start making an exit plan. So I'll give you a perfect example, right? I was a federal worker for about 6 years. And this year I walked away from my federal job, right? But this is the thing. I had already been kind of mentally preparing and making an exit plan months and even years before, you know what I'm saying, I walked away. Meaning I bought land, you know, started a business. My wife had a business. So we started years ago doing things to say, hey, just in case this job doesn't work out, I know, of course, I want to work my job and my career as long as possible, but just in case it doesn't work out, let's start trying to make other avenues and start making an exit plan just in case this ship has sailed. Then now I can jump aboard to the next one. And so when I say make an exit plan, now is the time to start strategizing. Okay, I've been working this job, but at the same time, I know anything can happen. So what is a way that I could diversify my income right now? What skills do I have? What is a passion of mine? Do I love to cook? Do I love to bake? Can I build things with my hand? Can I go get a trade, you know, for a part-time gig, you know, and start working and being proficient in a trade? What can I start doing now to diversify my income? You know what I'm saying? Am I good with numbers? Can I look into the stock market and start investing in the stock market and, you know, investing in real estate? All of these different things are things that you can start thinking of to make an exit plan from the current career or job you have now. Because one thing we have to realize is that just because it's going good right now doesn't mean that it's always going to go good in the future. But this is the thing. It could continue to go well and you can very well retire, but it never hurts to have a backup plan. It never hurts to have some sort of a safety net and something you could fall back on. So that's what I mean as far as developing an exit plan. Even if you don't execute that plan, you know, as much as you know, think you should right now, just having the plan is enough. Because when you have the plan and you say, well, you know what, I'm going to start diversifying, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start trying to grow some of my own food, start getting the skills, collecting seeds, starting a garden, keeping some chickens, keeping some livestock, or I'm going to start practicing up on survival skills. I'm going to buy some books like Back to the Basics that teach me how to do things when it comes to living off the land, developing the land, keeping livestock. I'm going to start at least learning and buying the resources and doing the research right now to develop an exit strategy. So that's what I mean by having an exit plan. And right now is the time to start developing your exit plan. Like I say, even if you don't execute it right now, but I suggest you start at least the first few steps. But let's just say even if you don't execute right now, at least having the plan, starting to, you know, get in the mindset of, okay, I am responsible for my survival. I'm responsible for the food that I consume. I'm responsible for the water that I consume. I'm responsible for my protection, for my shelter. Those 4 basic necessities I'm responsible for. So at least you're getting that in your mind and you're starting to think, man, these people truly don't really care about us. And we've seen that time and time again. We were promised, but you know, the end of last year during this whole campaign, we were promised by both sides of the aisle that, hey, we're going to bring inflation down, prices are going to go down, groceries are going to be affordable, healthcare is going to be affordable, housing is going to be affordable. We were promised all of these things, and as you can see, those promises have not been delivered on, but it has only gotten progressively worse. And this is the thing, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. So now is the time to start developing your exit plan. This is the thing though, waiting can be dangerous. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable to be waking up from a deep sleep. But when you are waking up from that deep sleep, it's going to be tempting to want to go back to sleep. But I'm telling you, if you end up going back to sleep, it's going to be dangerous for you. And you're going to fall into the trap that have been set for you, or the traps rather, that have been set for you. So waiting is dangerous. Don't think it can't happen to you. That is the most dangerous mindset a lot of us Americans have, is that it can't happen to us because of our country we live in, because of our social status, because of the job we have, or because of the neighborhood we stay. We think that things can't happen to us. And that is the most dangerous mindset to have. So waiting is dangerous. Now here's the thing. Like I say, you want to start developing an exit strategy and an exit plan and you know, following the new American dream, which is self-sufficiency. But this is the thing. I always talk about what's going wrong in the world, but I also like to give a solution, right? Because yes, we can sit here and we can express our frustrations, and we can express what's going wrong and how they don't care and all of these things. But at the same time, at the end of that, we have to do something about it. So I always love to give solutions. And so when it comes to, you know, self-sufficiency and developing your exit plan, the first thing is this: make the decision that you're going to start unplugging and weaning yourself off of the system and the things that you are too dependent on right now. It all starts with a decision. Once you say, you know what, this message has resonated with me, I've saw multiple videos, you know what I'm saying, I see what's going on, I see the writing on the wall. The next step is to say, or not even say, but the next step is to make the decision and say, I'm going to start trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. Now, self-sufficiency looks different to different people. You have different levels of self-sufficiency. So I'm not saying everybody got to just, totally go off grid, SHTF. No, what I'm saying is everybody needs to have some sort of self-sufficiency where you know how to do basic things like grow your food, where, you know, you start collecting the resources in the books, where you start diversifying your income, where you start having just an exit strategy and a plan as to, if all goes wrong, how will I be able to provide for myself or provide my basic necessities. So I say it all starts with the decision. But these are some of the first steps you could do as far as baby steps, right? So the first thing, you know, you want to, so you have 4 basic necessities. You have water, which is the number one. You know, you can't go without water for a significant amount of time. So we all need water. So thinking about, okay, where's my water source coming from right now? And how can I develop the skills to provide my own water? So you have things like rainwater collection. You should be able to do it, but I know some places it's illegal. So just look into the laws in your area and different things like that. But let's say you know it is legal. You can start learning how to harvest and collect rainwater, right? You could buy big old barrels. You know, they sell them at Lowe's and Home Depot. You could buy those big old barrels, those rain catchment systems, you know, and you could start trying to collect rainwater. That way you have a water source right there. But let's just say it's illegal where you're at to collect rainwater. How about learning how to filter water? You know, you have a lot of different filtration systems that you could buy off of Amazon. You know what I mean? That is, while you can get it right now, You have the little filtration straws that you can buy. Like if you put it to a fresh water source and you suck through it, it'll filtrate all of the bad stuff out of it and it'll give you clean drinking water, right? You have different filtration systems. So either learning how to collect rainwater, learning how to filter water, you can even learn how to dig a manual well on your property. If that's something, you know, you have enough property and you have underground water source, you can learn how to dig a well, a manual well, and that manual well will provide you water. So water is the first basic necessity, right? And so again, developing a plan on how you can have a fresh water source at all times. The second thing is food, right? Water is the most important. Food is a close second, because you can go a lot longer without food than you can without water, but it becomes a certain point where you're gonna need food. So food is the second thing. Okay, how can I start growing some food, you know, at the basic level, right? I don't care if you just start learning how to grow lettuce or spinach or some sort of leafy green. Learn how to grow some sort of food. Another thing is this, outside of gardening, because, you know what I'm saying, gardening is one of the basic things as far as learning how to grow your own food. And when it comes to gardening, you don't have to be outside. You can garden on your balcony if you live in an apartment. You can get those little, 5-gallon buckets. You can get those gardening buckets, you know, the little small little gardening buckets. You can get those. You can grow out just about anything. You see what I'm saying? So outside of gardening though, and growing your own food with that, you can learn how to forage. There's books that'll teach you how to forage, you know, videos that'll teach you how to forage, learning how to forage. Also learning how to fish, buying a fishing pole, learning how to work it. If you live by, you know, fresh water, learn how to freshwater fish. If you live by salt water, learn how to saltwater fish. If you live by brackish water, learn how to fish in brackish water. But fishing is something that, a life skill that you'll be able to survive in the event where you need to provide your own food. If there's a water source with fish in it, at least you'll know how to catch you some fish and provide you some fish, right? Another thing is hunting. Getting proficient in weapons as far as hunting weapons, whether it's a rifle, whether it's a bow and arrow, but learning how to hunt some sort of game. That is another thing as far as providing your own food. Another thing is keeping livestock. One thing I suggest a lot of people do, especially beginners, is learn how to keep chickens. You know, chickens are the overall best livestock to get started with, because not only do they provide you meat, they provide you eggs. They'll also till the ground that they're around. They'll also give fertilizer with their poop that you can put in your compost bin. You know what I mean? And they're low maintenance. It don't take a lot to feed them. Some of them, a lot of them can free range. So learning how to keep some sort of livestock is you know, one of the other things as far as providing your own food. Another thing is protection, right? That's one of the third things. Protection and protection and shelter. Those are, you know, the last two things, and they kind of both tie in with each other. But protection, learning how to protect yourself, your family, all of those things, getting proficient in some sort of weaponry. I'm not saying everybody gotta go buy a pew, but learning how to, you know what I'm saying, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your livestock, all of that good stuff. Another thing is shelter, learning how to build basic shelter so you can get out of the elements, whether it's the sun or whether it's the rain or the snow. Just learning how to build some sort of shelter for yourself and your family. Like, those are the basic things that you can start looking into. Another thing is looking into getting some sort of preparation bag, right? So some people call it a bug out bag, but basically something that has first aid tools in it, you know, survival tools, matches, lighters, filtration systems, you know, just the whole 9 yards, you know, like MREs, dry, freeze-dried foods, different things like that. But having some sort of bag that has a lot of the essentials that you'll need in the case of an emergency, right? In the case of a power outage where it's a natural disaster, or, you know, a collapse or something like that, just having that on hand, right? But just looking into some of the first things that you can do and what makes sense for you, diversifying your income, starting to get different income sources outside of your main job, you know, starting to learn how to grow basic foods, start learning how to keep basic livestock. If you can't keep livestock, at least look into something like fishing and hunting and different things like that. But however it looks for you, start developing an exit plan right now. I'm telling you, the longer you wait, the more dangerous it's going to be for you. But I'll give this analogy, right? Let's say somebody who's worked a career for, you know, the past 20, 30 years, right? And their career is going well. And something happens, like a health scare, a health crisis or whatever. And they're not able to, you know, give that same energy and that same effort they were giving at work at one point in time. But they years ago said, hey, I'm going to have a backup plan just in case I ever get laid off, just in case I'm ever able to not do my job properly and I have to step away from the job. I'm going to start making an exit plan right now. And they did that 20 years ago. So now that this health scare or this family emergency has happened, right, and they have to take a step back from their career, they're not worried about the income because they've already started diversifying in the past. But if they haven't started diversifying, then they're going to have to push through that and, you know, neglect their health or neglect their family or neglect whatever crisis is at hand so they can keep their job. And that's no way to live. That's no way to live. So all I'm saying is have a backup plan for a backup plan. You know what I mean? Don't wait, because the longer you wait, it's going to be dangerous. But the summary is this: just start where you at in any way you can. I don't care if you know what I mean, you're in an apartment right now, just start with the mindset. If you got a regular sized backyard, okay, start trying to grow some food back there. If you don't have a home at all, see if you could borrow somebody else's yard to start trying to grow food. I don't care if you got, you know, just a simple little 9-to-5 job, start seeing how you can bring in some other sort of income, and you can invest in things and skills that will last you and that will be good for not only survival, but you can also make money off of. Start where you're at in any way that you can. And look, if you want, you know, more tips and you want community, think about joining my Set Apart Tribe. We have a free tier on Facebook. We also have a paid tier. But in either one of those groups, you can ask questions, you can network, all of those type of things, and we can learn from each other. But it's about community. And when you have a community of like-minded individuals, it makes the journey a lot easier and a lot simpler. You know what I'm saying? So consider joining those. But you've been awakened. You've been awakened from this American dream delusion, right, that has plagued us for so long, because truthfully the American dream hasn't been the American dream for everybody, but I digress on that point. But you've been awakened and you see that inflation is here, recession is here, prices are rising, things are getting a lot worse before they get better. Start developing an exit strategy, an exit plan. Start having a backup plan for a backup plan, so that way when things happen, you're not dependent. Start breaking that grip of dependency, you know what I mean? And start becoming more independent, growing your own food, doing your own thing, and not relying on the system totally. But I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and go. I appreciate y'all. If you like this video, hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel, man, if you want to see more videos like this. Like I always say, he who has the power to feed you also has the power to starve you.
Bombs over Baghdad really ain't that bad. Little wiretap, yes, yes. Little dodge in the IRS. Little haven from the tax man.